So I've got an article from the Deseret News, which is a local paper here in Salt Lake City, Utah, that is owned by the LDS Church. And this particular article brings up the fact that there is a new book by the author James Ferrell, and he is tackling in this book the paradoxical elements of the Gospels. And in this case, he's actually referring to the Gospel of Mormonism, so the Pearl of Great Price and the Doctrine and Covenants and the Book of Mormon itself. He's not specifically mentioning the Gospels in the Bible.
Okay.
And I found this really funny. I think this is going to make you very smiley. And we're going to have a good time with this one. I wanted to read you, this article is sort of a very brief review of the book about what it talks about, and hey, you should go buy it if you're an LDS person interested in finding out more about paradoxes in the gospel and why it's not a problem.
Okay.
And there's some quotes from the author here that are, you know, just downright hilarious. And so here's the author talking about the paradoxes that he finds. And this is his advice to working through them as you study and learn the will of God, as it is in the Mormon Church. I start from this premise, that things make sense. And if something isn't making sense to me yet, then I'm the one with the problem, not the scriptures. So I've got to keep working on it, Ferrell said.
Oh my God.
So, no matter how crazy the language is, no matter how nonsensical the statements in the Book of Mormon are, if you don't understand it, if your mind is resisting the insane nature of it, the problem is you.
Well, that's what all the Mormons have told me throughout my
and so many other religions I've heard that from. But it gets better for how divisive and harmful to humanity he is willing to admit. That he is willing to admit to. I have wondered whether it is wise and helpful for those who are commanded to follow Jesus in all things to expend our energies trying to secure self-regard and self-worth that the Lord appeared never to have valued. When someone is struggling and feeling down, it is our natural inclination that we want them to be happy, and so we want to lift them. You are great. You are wonderful, are things that we would say to them. I understand these sentiments, but the essential thing for us is that we need to be repenting more. We don't want to relieve anyone of that. Paradoxically, the help that we give people to help them to be happy is the wrong kind of help.
What?
So if someone is down and depressed and not feeling good, anything that you would do to lift them up is the wrong action to take.
Why?
Because what they need to do instead to be happy is repent. They need to go on their knees before Jesus, and that will make them happy. He makes a point of saying if you feel burdened and like you can't handle the burden, the correct thing to do is take more burden on yourself.
Okay, so this is those masochistic.
This is the paradox that he's talking about. Well, he goes on.
That's awesome.
Until we penetrate the divine paradox, we will reflexively resist it. That means in order to put off the unhappiness of the natural man, we must first do what feels unnatural. That requires that we submit to rather than resist the paradox. So, when you think about, this is actually something I just thought of.
Can I go?
No, you can't.
I don't
you have
to be
stay
here for this anymore.
You're required to stay. Remember when we talked to Eric? And he was talking about, he was raised Mormon. This is an interview that you can find in the archives on the Outcast in Zion channel. Eric is a person who was raised Mormon and was having a really hard time with masturbation and the church's teachings on masturbation because he was a young man doing what young men do. And what he ended up doing was literally taking hold of his erect penis and right-angling it. He really hurt himself. He ruptured the membrane in his penis, could have done irreparable damage to himself. And what this guy is saying is that is the exact thing that Eric should have done.
Yeah. It's the best justification I could ever find. I mean, I want to apply this to like my physics class.
What do you mean?
Like whenever I run into a paradox that I don't understand, instead of not understanding it or learning how it actually works, I'm just going to accept it.
Well, no, and he's
I mean, because he's talking about stuff that's not in a science book. He's talking about stuff that we find the science contradicts with these kind of ideas, and he's like, "I'll just accept it." No. You can't. how do you survive in the world if you're going to be that ignorant?
And that's it brings up something that is constantly rattling around in my head, is that what other system but religion would ever have the balls to give you this kind of a justification? Seriously, like what other ideology could tell you, like if I said to you, Richard, the world is flat, and then you grab me and you put me on a boat and we go all the way around the world, and when we don't fall off the edge, I'm like, well, I just need to consider this paradox more. Because it's not that the world is actually round, I'm just not understanding the method by which it is flat.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Really? Seriously?
You have to have this, though. That's how the only way you can justify religion these days, and justify like firm, religious adherence to the doctrines, especially.
You have to be so
you have to
willingly blind.
Yeah.
You have to be willingly blind to swallow it. You have to be able to look at reality and look at evidence and be like, nope, magic man.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't follow this guy's advice ever.
This breaks my heart to like have to try to consider in my own mind how broken this guy's brain is.
This is the religious abuse spouse all over again, where it's like when God beats you, you just need another beating.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You just need to relax, because eventually, if you take the beating long enough, you'll understand why he's giving you the beating.
It's not his fault for beating you.
No, you just don't understand why he makes you hurt him, baby. I mean, seriously.
Oh, that's just genius. I love it. I love it.
How are there 5 million Mormons?
They're getting smaller.
It makes me sad. Like I want to like give this guy a hug and be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe this nonsense.
God. I love that it's a book. I want to know what its sales are like. I mean, who else is deluding their mind with these ideas?
Well, the book is called Falling to Heaven by James Ferrell, and it's available at Seagull Books and Deseret bookstores and probably nowhere else. And because their audience is clear. The audience is the Mormon faithful. He's not talking to people like us. And I understand that, but it doesn't make his claims less ridiculous.
Yeah, just ignore the evidence, as always.
Yeah, just ignore the evidence and you'll be fine. Outcasts out.